Hi, I'm Duan, a PhD student from University Putra, Malaysia. Today I'm going to share with you the results on the framing of China during Malaysian political changing period in online Malaysian newspaper The Star. There was a spike of interest in bilateral news and issues in Malaysia in the year of 2018, as we know that a country's position in global competition can be affected by its image. It is important to pay attention to how China's image was framed by local media when a mega political change happens. According to current popular belief that the news coverage frame could be influenced by political sphere, an important role in stakeholders' national image formation. Usually, changes in the political environment are often accompanied by changes in stakeholder relations. Certain social changes will inevitably have an impact on the media news frame, and the media will inevitably choose a news frame that is beneficial to the political dominant set. In this process, media is a key vehicle between political change and the stakeholder country's image formation. Therefore, it is very important for government leaders and the public to understand how the media frame the national image of stakeholders and how the specific social environment has affected the media reporting frame. First, it is necessary to introduce the political environment in Malaysia in 2018. The Pakatan Harapan managed to unseat the Barisan National Government under the leadership of Najib. The Barisan National was forced to end to one of the world's longest ruling. Former Prime Minister Najib was trying to use his close tie with China to impress the voters, but Prime Minister Dr. Mahathir successfully used his opponent's connection with China to externalize voters' concern about domestic economic debt. Transferring this concern onto China, China was related to the debt trap. It is difficult to determine whether China's image has been impacted and whether bilateral relationship has been attacked in this election. Although China has received more and more media coverage due to its fast growing economy and rising political power, few people have tried to examine how China is framed as a stakeholder country in the context of specific political change. The 2018 Malaysian election is a phenomenon that is justified and relevant to be studied. The aim of our study is to examine framing of China in the Star to explore how does public relations affected by special political events affect its country image. The specific objective of this study were analyze the thematic framing of China during the pre and the post-election periods. As to the method of this study, we conducted qualitative content analysis of China-related articles in The Star during March 29th to August 21st. Altogether, 177 articles were found published on China-Malaysia. The instrument we use for analyzing thematic framing is taken from Ludman 2004. The unit of analysis was newspaper articles. As for our data collection and analysis procedures, we started by using the keyword China in the newspaper platform under the national section, and all those articles that were brought out were copied and pasted. The unit of analysis was the whole news article. Each paragraph of every news article was read several times to get an overview of the sentence group, after which meaning units were identified. Meaning units included words, phrase, and a sentence that reflected on China factors. These meaning units were transferred to another document, and thereafter they were coded and assigned tentative code. The content of these news items were analyzed inductively by progressively coding and portrayal of China in order to identify recurrent themes and topics, but also significant changes in coverage during the political changing periods. More specifically, for every one of the 177 articles, analysis consisted in identifying China factors being portrayed. These are Chinese government investment mega project, electoral issues, China-Malaysia relationship. By cross-tabulating the finding along those three dimensions, patterns or trends could be detected in how the online news coverage recurrently linked a certain political issue with certain categories related to China and which of their traits were emphasized. Here are the results. The analysis yielded four themes for per-election period. There are Chinese investment projects are good for Malaysia, no special treat for China, bilateral relations and Malaysia's 2018 election. The categories, subcategories for each theme were listed on slides. Chinese investment projects are good for Malaysia were reported widely during the pre-election period of the study. The general trend of reporting was positive. Under this theme, there are two main categories. Mega Chinese investment projects could boost economic growth, and Chinese-funded projects may create more jobs for locals. These themes categories addressed that the ruling party claimed there was no special treats for China. There are three categories under this. Number one, tax relief not just for projects from China. Number two, Malaysia accepted investments not just from China. Number three, Malaysia's sovereignty is not being sold to China. Under the theme of China-Malaysia relations, it can be divided into three main categories, namely the two sides should strengthen contact, affirming the prospect of China-Malaysia cooperation, and serving trade cooperation with China will harm China-Malaysia relations. The first theme is talking about China factor, which was used by ruling party and the opposition party, which is the most salient theme among these four. The analysis yielded four themes for post-election period, which are bilateral relations, the new government reviews mega Chinese investment projects, and a goodwill signal from the new government, and one MDB scandal. The article that described bilateral relations appeared in newspapers recurrently during the post-election period. The collected data under this theme was grouped into three categories, which are mutual interpretation of goodwill, bilateral differences still exist, and richer consensus. The theme of bilateral relations is the most salient among those four, and 64% of the news described this. The second important theme is the new government reviews mega Chinese investment projects, which was described in 21% of the news articles. Under this theme, it has two main categories, which are necessity of review and the attitude of the Chinese government. As to this theme, a goodwill signal from the new government, the themes categories address that Malaysia welcomes investment from China and the new government did not cancel the digital free trade zone. Malaysia welcomes foreign direct investment from all countries, including China. Malaysia is not rejecting Chinese investment, but suspicious loans from China. As to the first one MDB scandal, the general trend of reporting related to China was negative. The themes categories addressed that businessman Joe Low, collusion between the China factor and the previous government, and Najib's lie. As to the first category, related news focused the report on new Malaysian government's suspicion that Zhou Luo was hiding in China and hinted that China would provide a hiding place for him. The businessman claimed to be protected by former Prime Minister Najib. Now we come to discussion and conclusion of our study. Actually, our study has produced some interesting findings on framing China's image under a specific sphere. Firstly, from the perspective of framing theory, it proved that media input process was influenced by social reality, which was created under specific public relations. Within this context, our analysis of the Star News articles shows that the China factor was used to frame online news during this political changing period, which can be seen as a public relations translation exercise, linking former high-level political activity to state debt and corruption, and domestic economic panic to mega Chinese investment projects and outside target. Secondly, from the data analysis results of per and post-election periods, we found that whether per-election or post-election period, Malaysia-China relationship is a prominent theme, and the common description about this topic are positive, suggest that no matter which party is in power, the appeal for good bilateral relations is necessary. Taken together, the ways in which the China factor was applied in the election reflected not a diplomatic relationship changing issue between China and Malaysia, but rather the tactics in which specific political party trying to gain public understanding and support. With that, I end my presentation. If you have any questions, please contact me at this email address given. Thank you.